to The Insomniac Show with Nicolette and Brian. We'll get real deep with you, educating, inspiring, and solving problems with some of the most inspirational humans on the planet. Buckle up and come on the journey.
I'm excited. All right, guys, I'm Nicolette, and today Brian and I are here with Lori Livingston. She is also known as a Skrull on WandaVision, and she's going to talk to us today not only about her acting roles, but also all the other kick-ass things she's doing. So we are excited to have her here. Thank you so much, Lori, for joining us. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me. How cool is this? I couldn't wait to interview with you guys.
Yeah, we're fun. I promise. We'll be fun.
It'll be a little chaotic, but that's all good.
Yeah. I've only got one working eye today, so we'll make it work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Carbs are the enemy. So remember that. Carbs are the enemy.
And the pirate patch is your friend. Just get like the little patch.
Well, Lori, so for those of us who don't know what a Skrull is, and we're going to get into that, but first we want to talk a little bit about your journey to WandaVision. I mean, from what we hear, you're making history, right? You're the first African-American Skrull, I believe, right? And you're a woman, which go women, right? So I am super excited about that too. Tell us about your journey a little bit. How'd you get here?
Well, actually, I was a professional model initially. I started out as a model. I used to model on QVC. I used to model on HSN. So I kind of tease people and I tell them, your mother, your grandmother, they probably all know exactly who I am. Like, they've been watching me for a long time. So I started out as a professional model, and I modeled over in Paris, France. I did it all. You name the designer, I've modeled for them directly or indirectly somehow, literally. And that's what I did for 20 years. In the middle of that, I would also do some acting as well. It was something I wanted to do, but my heart was always as a model. So fast forward to about 2018, is kind of when it all really jumped off. But I left Paris, France, came back to America, and I moved to Hollywood. Like, you don't come back to America and just go back home, So I came to Hollywood and I started acting out here in Hollywood, became like a SAG actor. And Hollywood was kind of like, sure, she's a model. She's a model, so I had to kind of show them, like, no, I can do it. Like, I'm tough and I can kick butt and I can do stuff. And they weren't believing it. Like, Hollywood didn't buy initially, So I had to spend a few years here in Hollywood proving myself.
Now, before Paris, France, and Hollywood, where are you originally from?
I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So nobody ever knows what that. So, okay, basically, I'm right in between Philly and Pittsburgh. Like, right in the middle.
Middle of the state, yeah.
No one ever knows.
Northeast, we know.
Thank you.
Yeah, we know where
I think I drive through there 3 times a year. So I've got
like on my way to
Pittsburgh. Really? Harrisburg, I swear, if you blink, you literally will go right through it. Like, Harrisburg is like a blip on the screen, it's like so tiny. Like, so if you know what it is, I'm extremely impressed.
Yeah. So you end up here on WandaVision recently, and I was thinking a little bit about the character, and I think this is a good time for those who are not Marvel fans like myself to let everybody know a little bit about your role and how it kind of connects into the show and the universe.
So basically, about 3 years ago, I was kind of doing stunts. I was doing like a lot of stunt work. I was like the fight girl. I wanted to be the assassin. I wanted to be the villain. So I was doing what I had to do to virtually get Hollywood to take notice of me. And it was like, it wasn't really an agent. It was more like a casting type company. They found me and they were like, hey, we have this job for you. Do you mind doing prosthetics? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, like, let's do it. So it turned, and everything was top secret at that time, of course. So it turned out it was Marvel. So it was Captain Marvel, the movie Captain Marvel, where I became a Skrull. So I was actually in that movie three times, three, I had four, but three times where I was literally the Skrull. So that Captain Marvel was actually the very first time that the Skrulls had been introduced to the big stage. So like the Skrulls were in the comic books until then. All you Marvel fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Skrulls were the last creatures to be introduced to the big screen. So suddenly they're introducing the Skrulls, and I'm one of the original. So I think they had Talos, which a lot of people know that. They had Seren, which was the queen, their little kid, and then they had 9 refugees. So I was of them. And basically in that movie, I was a Torfin. So I was in the battle scene where Captain Marvel goes to the new planet and she fights. I'm in that scene. I'm fighting against her as one of the Torfins. And if you're really a diehard fan, you saw my face. So in the first 10 minutes or so of the movie, if you look at Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel, of course, she's in like a subway or something with Jude Law, and I'm standing directly behind her, kind of sneering at her, like giving her a dirty look, which was the director's idea, wasn't me. But it was the director's idea. They were like, look, just kind of look over at her and like give her like a dirty look, like, So of course I'm giving her the dirty look, but you can actually see my face. So that's for all you trivia, all you diehard fans. Like, or back, yes, you will see my actual face in the first 5-10 minutes of the movie.
So do you think that your role, and I was really thinking about everything that you do, and I want to talk more about some of the other projects you work on, but do you think that this role kind of parallels you as a woman, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, like the shape shifting? I saw some parallel there. Like this kind of superhumanness to you. I noticed it. I was wondering if you see it in yourself too.
Thank you. Well, it does actually. And I share this. I'm a tomboy. Can you tell by the hat? I'm like such a tomboy, but I have to, kind of zhuzh it up to let you know there's still a girl here. But I always loved Marvel. Marvel was like my thing. My brothers, I grew up with a bunch of brothers, so they were watching it. So my start with Marvel really kicked in when I saw Mystique. Remember Mystique, the original Mystique, not Jennifer Lawrence Mystique, yes. But Rebecca Romaine Stamos Mystique, which she was what? She was a supermodel, right? I was a model. So at the time I saw her in X-Men back then, I was like, holy crap, what was that? Like I loved X-Men, I loved the movie, but I mean, like now you're mixing my world with what else, I love. So I'm seeing this supermodel as this powerful, and she was like sleek and she had this walk and she painted blue head to toe and the slick back hair. And I'm just like, whatever that is, I'm in, so I don't care. Paint me whatever you want. And, and it happened. So yes, to answer, I hope that's like answering your question. That's like a roundabout answer, but like, yes, like for me to show up in WandaVision and to shapeshift and to become, and to be green for God's sake, yes, everything about it was like, this is me. The walk, if you notice the walk, it's a runway walk. I'm a model. I can't help it. I'm sorry. But like it was everything that I was, everything that I am as a human being, all accumulated into this one magic moment on WandaVision.
That is super cool that you had that kind of experience and then you got to almost recreate it. That is really cool.
So really cool. So you mentioned like some of the characters, right? And one of the things I sort of love about Marvel is like you look at Wolverine, like it's always been the same actor to some degree. And I know they had to end it because he was, I don't know if you want to say he was aging out or whatever you want to call it, right? But they sort of went through the journey. And what I love about Marvel is, and I know that's a Jennifer Lawrence and Rebecca Romaine Stamos, they switched the characters, but I sort of wish they would have continued using the same character because I love seeing those actors, continue through the, I want to say trilogy, but they're not, but through the Marvel universe, and it's interesting when they do sort of switch them. I actually like when they keep the same actors in there, and progress the story.
Marvel's pretty good at that. Marvel's very good at keeping everyone, if you really notice, like, and this is for the diehard fans, everything makes sense with Marvel. everything ties in beautifully. Like they're not just throwing things in for the sake of saying, okay, let's just try this,
Right.
it's legitimately connected. Everything is connected and connecting, all the dots work, so I love that. When I saw the switch out, what I was thinking was, and I think this was like with Star Wars, I think they were kind of going back into time a little bit, and we're thinking about younger. So my thought when I started seeing a little bit of the switch up, and I'm not giving no secrets away, but I just kind of assumed like, okay, well, maybe they're just doing some, like going back in time type of deal, but I started noticing like none of them were switching back.
Right.
And then you never saw the original again.
Yeah. And I think too, it's interesting too. I also like how they always like play at characters. Like I forgot which movie it was in, but they had Gambit in it for, was it The Last Wolverine? Like Gambit was in there for a really short time. It was just like this one scene and then he disappears, but it's like, give me more, and I know it's to create other series, down the road, but I'm like, okay, this is one of my favorite Marvel characters. And you only gave me like 3 minutes of a fight scene with them. Like, where's the rest of this? You know what I mean? Like, where's the whole story that follows along with this?
You never know. It could come up anytime now.
Yeah. I'm hoping someone at Marvel's watching this and going, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lori, but this isn't the only thing you do. And I came across a book that you authored, right? But beauty wasn't within me. I wanted to make sure I got that right. And that is
I have
really cool. You have it?
Well,
I mean, how cool is this? So you've got time so you're working hard, you're writing books. Wait, there's more stuff you're doing.
Modeling,
too.
she's acting, she's writing.
Yeah,
What else?
I want to talk. But I want to talk about this book because I think it's really important right now, and I think it's really inspirational. So I wanted to hear a little bit about kind of your the inspiration you had to write this book.
Okay, well, thank you. I actually wrote this book 8 years ago, and I started also a clothing line at the same time 8 years ago. So all of this came about in the heart of my modeling career. And it was literally initially a poem. The book itself was actually a long poem that I wrote kind of to myself about myself. And the story is, because I didn't grow up, and I know we all kind of have our little sob story a little bit, it seems like everybody has like, well, life was really hard for me. But for me, it sucked. Let's just be honest. And even though I grew up, what the story is telling is that I grew up, people were always like, oh, you're so funny. And, oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're this, oh, you're that. But I never really heard the affirmation of you're beautiful, And as a model, I think a lot of people just assume, oh, we just know we're gorgeous. Oh, we just know and we don't. A lot of models, if you really know anything about the modeling industry, many models are the most insecure people on the planet. One, because you're constantly being rejected somehow, some agent, somebody is constantly telling you, well, you're too fat over here. I'm like, I'm a -0. Like, what more do you need? What do you need? So it gets pretty brutal. And I believe at that moment, 8 years ago, I was just at a low point in my career. I mean, my career was great, but I was at a low point in terms of the rejection and the constant demand of modeling. And I just literally sat in a car and wrote this thing in 10 minutes. I wrote the entire book, it's not a very long book, but I wrote the whole thing in 10 minutes. And I just kind of read it to my friends around me. And they were just kind of like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I should have been offended by that or not, because they kind of looked at me like I was, oh my God, you're smart. Like, oh, who knew?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Anyway, so I wrote the book and they were all just kind of like, oh my God, great. This is great. This is cool. So I kept hearing how great the book was. A friend of mine, his name is Tyrone. He's listed as the illustrator. He and I we sat in his house for like a week. And I do mean this. For 1 week, we did absolutely nothing but illustrate that book. So the actual front cover of this book, I drew this myself.
Oh, wow.
And he went back and digitalized it, made it like digital and did, some other things to it. But we literally sat and just colored and illustrated everything. Am I freezing up? Okay. We literally colored and did everything about this book in 1 week.
Wow.
And after that, I went to Paris, France. I literally went off to Paris, France, and I put the book on hold. Came back to the country. We had a massive pandemic last year, and it was just like dude, let's finish this book. Like, what are we doing? You know, we're all sitting at home.
Yeah,
Right? Let's finish the book. Yeah. So last year was both a pain in the butt and the best thing to ever happen, because I was able to finish everything that I started 8 years ago.
Right.
And
I mean, you mentioned your clothing line too.
Yeah. Yes. Which I'm not representing. Hello. Oh my God. What am I thinking? How do I represent somebody else? And
You gotta go out the door and do like the model quick change thing or something.
Hey, I can do that. No, my clothing line is called T-Boy Chic, obviously tomboy chic, because I was both. So as a professional model, which I tell people, I didn't fit in as a model, because a lot of models are very, and I love them dearly, and they're all looking at me like, we know, Lori. But a lot of them are very prissy, prima donna, you know, the girly. If I break my nail, I'm devastated for weeks. You know, I didn't care about that stuff. You know, paint me up, do what I got to do, let me get on the runway, haha, and then I leave. I didn't care about all the girly stuff that a lot of models did, and a lot of agents had a hard time with me for that, because they kept trying to box me into this, you should be like this, and I'm like, but I'm not, you know, like as long as I sell the brand, I sell the item, I sell the clothes, and I became one of the favorites. I became literally a favorite model because of that edge, that tomboyness, and literally it became known as Tomboy Chic, but I abbreviated the word, so it's now T-Boy. T-Boy Chic.
Very cool. I mean, so you're just really creative. Let's be honest. It's not just acting. You're creative across the board. You know, you're drawing, you're writing, you're creating a clothing line. I mean, acting's a creative. You're just a creative, is what I'm starting to see.
I have a lot of time on my.
No.
Wait a minute, but you're also a mother, right? I mean, let me just. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
All right. If you could tell me how you get those hours, I would love that. I don't know if I could do it, man.
Yeah. It's definitely tough, but no, I have a son. My son's a grown man, and he's awesome. He literally called me when WandaVision aired, so it was like midnight. Of course, it was streaming. The show was streaming, and I went to bed. I was just like, okay, screw you guys. I'll see you in the morning, you know. And it was like literally 12:01. I swear to you, you know. And my son's calling me. He's like, Mom, oh my God. So I'm thinking, I had no idea. When we shot the movie, when we shot the scene, I knew I was in the show somehow, somewhere. I watched the whole season like everybody else. So I'm like watching, like trying to figure out, okay, where am I coming into this? Why are we in the 50s? This doesn't make sense. You know, like the whole time trying to figure out, you know. So I had no idea I was going to end up in the end credit. But as the season progressed, I figured, okay, this is going to be something. I had no idea it was going to be as big as it was. When my son called, he was literally like talking to me like as if he were talking to like the biggest Marvel, you know, superstar of the world. Oh my God, Mom. Like, I'm like, what? You know, I didn't see it. I'm asleep, supposed to be asleep. I'm like, what? Like, you like, and he couldn't explain. He's like, and then you did this, and then oh my God, you know. So finally he showed it to me. Yeah, that for me, that meant everything in the world. You know, you want your family, especially your own kids, to think you're cool for one, but to actually admire you. You know, like, I'm not a dork after all. Haha. You know? Your mom is actually kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime anyone gives you grief, you can be like, hey, look, I'm in the Marvel wiki right here. You know. Exactly. So it doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. So trust me, he's like all of his friends are like, oh my God, that's your mom. Oh my God. Like, yeah, he's like, basically he's walking around like more of a celebrity than I am, you know. He has sunglasses, he's talking in third person now, you know, Devin doesn't have time for this, you know. Devin will call you later. I'm like, Devin needs to sit down. You're not the star, Devin.
That's awesome. You know, and that kind of makes me wonder. So, you know, and you have a son, right? So I mean, I have a son too, but you're a role model to a lot of girls too then. And so my question is, you know, what would you say to these girls who want to do it all, kind of like you do. You know, what is your advice to them right now?
Do it. Never give up. Keep going. And these are literally the things that I tell people. So I'm not just throwing the words out. But one of the biggest things that I say to people, especially, never, and I do mean never, never listen to the naysayers. Because there's always going to be somebody that's going to tell you, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you're not this. Oh, you're never. It's naysayers. It is just their opinion. I don't care how many degrees, how many, achievements they have behind their name. It is just their opinion. If we listen to everyone's opinion, we will literally, and you can agree with this, we will never get anywhere. Think about anyone in your past that told you, oh, don't ever do that. And if you didn't take that chance on yourself and do it anyway, you would be sitting somewhere where they were, in the past, like wishing, yeah, I should have, I could have, I would have, never. If I had listened to the naysayers, they would have told me I was too old. If I had listened to the naysayers, I would have been trying to be the debutante, the prissy girl. I stuck to who I was. I'm a tomboy, period. I can't deny that. I'm 100% woman. I know when it's time to dress up, but I also know I'm just as comfortable in my hats, my sweats, my sneakers, and whatever else. And all I could give the world was Lori. If I try to give you anything else, that is your rendition of me and not mine. And I highly recommend anybody listening to me or to this, always give your authentic, true self. Be you. Be you. I know it sounds so simple, but it is the most profound. And like, once you get that revelation, I am this, and all I have is this to give, that is enough. Mm-hmm. It is enough. And someone will recognize that. And even if they don't, you recognize that you make it who they need to see. You make it to where they need to accept this. And they will come. Never give up. Never give up.
That's awesome. I think the other thing too, you mentioned what other people think, and what drives me crazy is when other people tell you what they think is possible, or not possible, I should say. Drives me crazy when someone's like, that's not possible. How do you know what's possible and impossible in this universe, right? It's so it's crazy when people say things like that to other human beings. All you're doing, like you said, is keeping them back. You're not helping them progress. And if they're your friend or someone who cares about you, they should be helping you progress towards your goals. That's it.
Even if they don't understand, like, people think at their capacity, at their level. Neither of you know who I am. So you have to paint a picture of who Lori Livingston is. It is not up to you to decide that for me. It is up to me to show you this is who I really am. Yes, I am this what you see, but I'm also, let's expand these borders. Yes, also these other things. That's what you have to do with people. That's what you have to do with people's opinion of you. And when they try to box you in, they are only giving you their limited, their narrow view of who you are and what they think. Now you have to prove to them, because if you don't, you've literally given them a pass to your life that says, this person said, I'm here, so here is where I am. That's what you're don't ever.
Yeah, and I think one of the important things you're really pointing it out there is only you get to choose who you are. No one else gets to choose who you are, and that's super important, and people forget that. Like, you define who you are. You get to choose who that's going to be. Regardless of where you were yesterday, you get to choose who you're going to be in the future. End of story, and like you said, keep going. So people miss those things so much. And they're simple things to think about.
Mm-hmm. You don't ever give your power away.
Yeah. And now we learned Lori is a philosopher also.
Yes, she is. She is.
I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. I literally just mommed all of your fans, all of your viewers.
Yeah,
I literally just mommed everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Me
and Lori would nerd out on philosophy here, I think, for like hours if Nicolette left.
I just keep thinking about how, how really durable you have to be. I mean, and you brought up, the constant rejection and people telling you, you're too large here, too small there, not this enough, not that enough. I mean, to do that consistently, you really have to know who you are before you can put yourself in there. I mean, do you see a lot of people don't know who they are before they go out there? And then, I mean, that can be a challenge. If you don't know really who you are and you don't own who you are, and then you go out there and now they're telling you you're not this and that, it's more likely that you'll bend, right? And you'll become a lot of things that you don't want to be.
Exactly. If you literally have to live for someone's opinion, if you have to, like, if you cannot make a move without, is this right? Should I? You are not cut out for a lot of things. I can't just say just the industry, because I mean, a lot of across the board in jobs or careers are very tough, and it's going to require, I was going to say it's going to demand, but if it's going to require you to know who you are. One of the things I would tell models, especially when girls would come up to me and be like, oh, I want a model. And I'm just like, are you sure? Are you sure? And not aren't beautiful, but because I know you're going to get pummeled out there. This industry is going to chew you up and spit you out. I always would say to girls, and I believe this goes across the board, if your heart and your head don't align and believe, then whatever it is you believe about yourself is going to project off of you. It's always going to come off of you, meaning it's going to show. So if you don't believe it in your heart, if you don't believe in your heart and your head together, not just one or the other, together, that I am this, I am it, I have what it takes, I can do it. And I'm not talking arrogance, because I think a lot of times people mix arrogance and ego with confidence. No, confidence is, you know what? Yes, I heard that no. Yes, I get it. You don't want me, but you know what? I still have something to offer. So thank you very much, but I'm going to keep going. That's confidence. Ego is like, you know what? I'm good. Boo, boo, no, we're not talking. There's a difference there. So if your heart and your head align, it's going to project off of you. If you don't love and accept yourself, how is anyone else supposed to love and accept you too?
Right.
It starts here. So a lot of people see the confidence and they see you moving forward in your career and they're like, oh my God, that's great. It looks easy. No, I believe I belong here. I believe I have what it takes. Now you are going to believe it. People around you are going to believe it. And I think that's what people miss. If you don't buy it yourself, who else is supposed to buy it? You have to first endorse in you. I believe in Lori Livingston, regardless of whoever says what. If no one ever hired me as an actor, I still would have my own confidence in myself. And that's what I'm trying to get other people to believe. Don't look at me. What about you? Believe in you. You have to buy. Buy into yourself. What do you believe about yourself? Because whatever that is, it's constantly projecting out to other people.
Well, it's amazing how self-belief has created some of the greatest accomplishments, right, in history, because, there's people that believe in themselves when everyone else doesn't believe in them or doesn't believe things are possible. Their self-belief is actually what gets them to achieve great things.
Oh yeah. I don't often tell this story, but my son had cancer. And when he had cancer, so a part of that time that I didn't have my book or my career or my clothing line was fighting cancer with my son. My son, it was some rare young kid. Nobody heard of it. So we're all like, what is this? But he went through chemo, radiation, all of the above. And as a result, he and I ended up homeless, So at the time that I was shooting Captain Marvel, my son and I were sleeping in our car. We were homeless, and we had nothing, literally. Like the money I was making from Marvel, and Marvel doesn't even know this, but the money I was making from Marvel at that time was basically sustaining us as best as it could. I mean, it was a lot of money, but it was like, like we were sustaining off of very little, at that moment. A lot of people don't realize that. And even in that moment, sleeping in my car, watching my son who had just chemo, we're barely getting by, trying to survive here in Los Angeles, I had to, it was like a come to Jesus moment, like a serious, like, okay, do I believe in myself enough to know, like, keep going?
Right.
Like everything I'm saying, I lived it. I experienced it, So if anybody, you might want to listen to somebody who's been there, who, life wasn't a bed of roses. This walk in this, in my career was never a cakewalk. It was always challenging. It was always hard, but the payoff of it is actually WandaVision, where you see me kind of reemerge again. Marvel came looking for me. I didn't go knock on Marvel's door, say, hey, or agents didn't come to me and say, hey, we're going to audition you for Marvel again. No, Marvel came looking for me through that same company that they had. And they were like, hey, does she want to go back and do this creature again? Is she okay with going back into prosthetics? And initially I said no, but I had to still believe in myself, even through all those tough times, even through all those hardships. I had to still buy into, I'm good enough. I can do this. I'm qualified. I still had to.
I have a question then. So do you think that at that point, and go back to that place, do you think at that point where you had to say to yourself, no, keep going, very likely someone might have made the decision, no, I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to go maybe, take a boring 9-to-5 office job and just settle and just to make sure that I've got something going on here, and I think that shows the real persistence, right? I mean, what made you not go that way, right?
Exactly. I mean, and it was tough. And trust me, you get a lot of people who are like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, you're going to have the people in your ear that are going to be like, come on, it's not working. Like, come on,
right.
Look at you, and I had them. I had a few of them, but it's a drive that you have to know, it's an inner knowing that you have to know within yourself. Like, okay, I'm not in this for nothing. This is legit. Like, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing this, and you have to keep believing and keep going. It's all basic stuff, just, do I believe this? Am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be doing this? Okay, then keep going. It's not always going to be easy. It's
work, Lori. I think that's the second part that people, and Brian, you and I talk about this a lot. People think, okay, just because I believe that it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen, I believe myself. And they actually have to do something to make it happen. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah. You can't just visualize it happening. You gotta actively work at it. And I talk about this a lot. Singularity of focus, right? You need to focus on the thing you really want to happen, whatever that is, and move towards that. When you get distracted by other things that aren't important, it just takes away from that focus, and it's very important. And work actively, always work to improve your situation. Always work to improve your situation.
Yes. So even though times were absolutely desolate and hard, for me, I knew I had to keep going. No one promises that it's going to be easy, and it wasn't. But I had to keep going. I was working. It just was tough for me financially because of the chemo with my son and everything. It was just a really tough time. But I had to keep going. So I still showed up to set every day as if they had no idea. These people had no idea. Marvel, none of them had no idea. So I would show up to set every day, putting in like 150% of my ability, everything I needed to do. And then I would literally leave set and go back home to a car at night, sleep in my car for the night, come back in the morning, start all over again. So when they came looking for me, of course, my first thought was like, oh dear God, no, I don't know. And I said, no, initially I did. I turned it down because I thought it was full of crap. I was like, yeah, all right. So I just kind of was like, no. And I thought about it and was like, Marvel, wait, this is Marvel. Like, seriously, Lori, this is Marvel. Come on. It's not that.
Time to reconsider that, Lori.
Yeah, come on. It's not that bad. So I called them back. I used the email because they had given their information to give to me. I called him back, contact the person, and I mean, literally, it was just boom, 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 like audition, moving, gone. And next thing you know, I got the part, and I still didn't know what was going on. I just, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna do what we did before, So I had no idea. Marvel totally redeemed everything, and I don't think they realized that they did that, but they totally redeemed everything that I had been going through initially in Captain Marvel. All came full circle right here in this little clip. This tiny little segment, this little end scene, it all just came back together. I mean, like, and now I am, in the MCU. It's like look how life just turns, give it time, be patient with your process, be patient with taking step by step, take it moment by moment, don't rush, don't jump ahead, don't jump back. If I had not listened, or if I had listened to everybody else, I would not be where I'm at. I wouldn't have been in exactly what I wanted to do. Out of everything in Hollywood to do, I ended up doing exactly what I wanted to do and was still true to myself in doing it. I was still very much a tomboy. I was still very much Lori. I didn't have to, it was incredible. Not all stories will be the same. I get it. Not everybody, is going to have the same outcome, I get it, and don't try to. However, don't give up. Whatever it is you're supposed to do, whatever it is you're supposed to be, don't give up. Be the best at it. Don't look at your age. Don't look at time. Don't look at, okay, well, this person made it in this much time. It doesn't matter. That person's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You have your set. You stay in your lane. You stay focused. And I guarantee you, it comes back to you. It comes back the way you need it to. So that's my mom moment. That's my mom moment.
Well, Lori, I think that is a great place to leave us with those words. And please, before you leave us, tell us where we can learn more about everything you've got going on and what you want to point us to.
I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Oh gosh. I'm Lori Livingston across the board. So I joke and I tell people I'm the only Black one. So you can't miss me. You can't miss me. So I'm Lori Livingston, the melanated one, so Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Don't mind my TikToks, y'all. That's my
Don't mind mine
that's
either.
my outlet. Oh my God, TikTok is like therapy. TikTok is therapy. So and I have you but Beauty Wasn't Within Me. It's on YouTube. Sorry, it's on Instagram. And I have T-Boy Chic. It's on Instagram, and all my links are connected in the bio. So that way you can, if you want to purchase the book, it's all in the bio of my Instagram pages. So.
And we're going to put those down in the description below as well, so everybody can just access them right there, nice and easy.
Yes. Lori,
Thank you.
Well, Lori, thank you for being such an inspiration, and thank you for your work. We really, really appreciate your time again. Thank you.
You are amazing,
Thank
creative,
you.
and beautiful, Lori. Since other people weren't telling you that, you're amazing, creative, and beautiful. And come back anytime. We'd love to talk to you again.
You. I look forward to it. You are so awesome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Lori.